Well, for the last day or so, I've been moving my shop, welding shop, from outside to my lanai, which is sometimes called a Florida room. For good reason. It's very common here in Florida, and anywhere in the South and Southwest, I guess, also. But at any rate, an overview of my mess outside is this. So when I first started in this, I was thinking too big. So I was having steel delivered in 24-foot lengths, cutting it up small enough to fit on this rack here. But this creates quite a problem for me in that if I'm not building something very large, which I'm not now because I've built everything large I needed to build, I guess. So anyway, my change of tactic was to switch to small stuff, and for that, moving it inside makes sense. Now I've got two problems with this area, uh, and that has to do with fire safety, fire prevention, and um, ventilation. And this is a pretty tight room, and it has an air conditioner to keep it inhabitable in the Central Florida heat, and shades all around to keep this from becoming a solar oven, even to the point where I've got the door caulked up with spray foam. So how do I ventilate this thing? Well, my plan is to make smaller stuff, which should not require as much welding. And my intent is to buy a small mini lathe so I can get something to work with on a small scale. In fact, I'm enamored with the idea that I saw on YouTube of somebody who was using rebar, and they would turn that on a lathe, and the output was really nice stuff. You can make a lot of stuff with that. So anyway, we're going to see how that works out. But I've got a lot of tools that are, to put it kindly, redundant, if not useless, when doing small stuff. The main one is I've got a 200 amp DC generator based welder. It's the most expensive item I have on hand. Paid $1,300 for that. So that is something I'd like to dispose of. The reason I bought that is it had been 50 years, 45 years since I had welded. And back in that day, I worked with the AC, what we called back then a cracker jack or cracker box welder. And I hadn't realized the revolution caused by the inverters in terms of the power that these even 110 volt welders can do, and the fact that with DC you've got a much more control. I'm not going to get into that subject, but at any rate, I didn't want to have to run 220, so I figured the cheaper thing to do would just go out and buy a 220 generator based welder. stick welder. Well, honestly, it works like a champ, but it's too noisy for the neighborhood I'm in. So I could build and may build eventually once I get all that outside stuff cleaned up. I may build a soundproof or sound retardant wall around it and actually use it some. But I've got other welders that'll do the same job uh, since I'm not welding together battleships and stuff like that. Okay, so that's the work I'm going to be doing today is to continue moving stuff from the old shop to the new and cleaning up the mess out there. So that's going to be a lot of fun. The HOA rules require that I have everything covered when not actually using it. And that covering and uncovering is really a drag. It takes a lot of time, and from my perspective, it's wasted time. Okay, this is the mess I've got to clean up. And actually, I've already moved 2 shelves with their contents inside. That was a lot of work. It took me about 3 or 4 hours to do that. Today, I just want to clear up the walkway so I can move from behind all the stuff there and avoid the maze that has been created. It was 20 pounds of 6013 rod, which is which I use a lot, although I'm going to probably not use that so much in the future. I use different rods. This is what I mean by time consuming. So, of course, I'll have to continue doing this if I keep the welding table outside and the welding machine. Um, but hopefully I can keep the welding table top clear since I'll have another table inside and I'll do most of my small work on. All right, I think they'll do it outside here for a while.